1, go. Welcome everybody to Geekvice episode 267, proving any vice with enough geek can become a virtue. My name's Morph, that man's Kip. Good evening, Kip.
Good evening.
Alright, I'm going to apologize now for my really raspy voice, and for any coughing that you hear, I will try to mute it as best I can, but I don't have one big button yet. I need to get that big button to block everything, so when I do have coughs like this, you don't have to hear it. But for now, you're just gonna have to roll with it. But how you doing, Kip?
Well, from what I understand, I'm doing a whole lot better than you are right now.
Yeah, it has been a rough month of August, but we are officially done with August, and hopefully it doesn't keep getting worse. So I've talked about some of the stuff on the show. It's or in earlier episodes, but in August we had a power outage. We missed an episode because the power went out at my house. Well, that broke my freezer, so I had to buy a new deep freeze. So there was that. That was early in the month. And then school tried to start, and my kids decided to get sick. They didn't miss a single day of school last year, the entire school year, and they made it all through the summer without being sick, and then right at the beginning of the school year this year, they decided to get sick. Like, what is going on here, boys? So they missed part of the first bit of school. My youngest one had the upper respiratory infection that lasted a few days, and then Reese, my oldest one, decided to get pneumonia. So that was fun.
That's always a good time.
Yeah, luckily there was no hospital visits or anything like that, just an inhaler and some antibiotic, and then that didn't really, like, his cough ended up almost like getting worse, and so we called the doctor back up, and they gave him some more steroid. Talking's hard. Oral steroid, like a pill you gotta take, and that seemed to have fixed him. He's doing much better now. His cough is almost completely gone, and he actually went to soccer practice today, which he hasn't been at in like 2 weeks because he's been sick, and now it seems like I'm starting to get either allergies or an upper respiratory infection, or maybe I have pneumonia now too. I don't know, but
hopefully it's just allergies, because mine have been kicking my butt too.
Well, and it started when that front moved in just a couple days ago. That's when my stuff kind of started, when the weather changed and it went from winds blowing one way to winds blowing the other way, and it blew in a big storm. That was on, Thursday last week? That's when the congestion and everything started for me, so I'm hoping that it's just allergies and drainage, but this cough is annoying, and this voice is really raspy, and so I'll take lots of drinks today and hopefully not cough all over everyone. But that was just kind of the start of it. Once the kids got sick, then where it's like, well, we got them, started getting them better again. And so last week, when we were recording, I didn't have any air conditioning. Luckily, it wasn't stupid hot. Next day, had the AC guy, that friend of the family's, had him come out and take a look at it, and cracked evaporator coil, which means no matter how much Freon I put in it, it is not going to work. So he's like, you got no AC, man. We're going to have to get you a new one. So we already knew we had saved up money and we're already planning on getting one anyway. So that wasn't like a huge. It was an inconvenience, but more just timing wasn't great. We at least had the money saved up to be able to buy a new air conditioner. We went ahead and got the new furnace too. So those were getting put in on Friday. So, but Thursday was like 90 some degrees outside and was almost 90 degrees in the house at 8 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night. So we decided, you know what, we're not going to stay in this house. We're going to go get a hotel room. There's a hotel here in Gardner. It's brand new. We're like, you know what, let's go stay there. Perfect. No big deal. So we go do that. I left the windows in the house open, to try to help cool the house down as much as possible. Um, the people at the hotel were really nice. They put us up on the top floor where we can look out over the runway, and so you can like watch the planes like fly in. It's really kind of cool because they fly almost like at the level of your room. So that was kind of cool. Boys liked watching the planes come in. Uh, and thought, okay, you know what, everything's gonna be all right. So Thursday night, well, I guess Friday morning at about 1:30 in the morning, I wake up to claps of thunder and torrential downpour, rain going sideways, and my wife wakes up too, and she looks at me and she goes, "Oh shit, the windows are open." Yes, they are. So I threw some shorts on and my sandals and ran down to my car, drove back to the house, uh, got there in time to close the windows, clean up the little bit of water that had gotten in the house, and made it back. I'm soaked at this point. I get back to the hotel room. Everything's good. We go back to sleep. Like, all right, I made it. No big deal. Friday, get up. I leave the hotel. I start driving to work. My wife takes the kids, and she takes the kids to school. And I'm driving to work, and all of a sudden, my car, like, I just start losing power, pushing on the accelerator, and just not really going anywhere. And then all of a sudden, I hear a knocking, like a really
Yikes.
loud banging, like, shit, I know what this is. So I quickly limp the car and coasted off the highway, get into a Quick Trip parking lot. Luckily, it's all downhill, and was able to make it there with little engine usage. And I pull in and I'm like, all right, I'm going to see what's wrong. I check the oil. Yeah, there's no oil. Shit. And so I call a buddy of mine. He picks me up and gets me into work. I get my work stuff done. I call a tow truck. But I pretty much know the answer. It's not good. The car's dead. It's, that knocking sound is a sound that means your engine is shot. And
Yeah, it
so,
sounds like you threw a rod.
yeah, I pretty much knew what it was before I even took it in. And I more just took it for just to, I don't know if peace of mind's the right word, closure, make sure that my diagnosis was right. And but Friday, after I finally got that to the mechanic shop here in Gardner, and then I get home, and Amber and I are looking at cars on Carvana. We decided we're gonna just buy a new car anyway. So my car got shot on Friday, and I bought a new car on Friday. It'll be here on Thursday. So yeah, it's been one hell of a month.
It sounds like it. Sounds like it was very expensive.
Yeah, yeah, and now in my playroom here at the house, we were looking at stuff and had a soft spot on the wall where underneath the window in the playroom, and like, the sheetrock's just wet there. Looks like we got a little bit of water damage. We'll pull the sheetrock off. It's could have happened from the storm. When the windows were open, blew some water in, and it got down underneath the sill. I'm like, shouldn't be a big deal. I'll pull the stuff off and replace it. Um, Yeah, apparently it had gotten a lot more water in than I thought. And as I pulled the sheetrock off, that was nice and soft. And sheetrock shouldn't, you shouldn't be able to like grab it with your hands and just like pull it off like mush. That
Yeah.
that shouldn't do that. I cut open it and pull it back far enough to see the insulation, and the insulation is black. Insulation is supposed to be pink, not black. So a lot more water had gotten in there, and it had been in there for quite a while. So I got all that pulled out. I haven't been able to replace it yet because we're trying to deal with um, getting it all cleaned up and sealing it all up, because luckily no structural damage underneath the window. All the studs are good. The plywood backing is all good. It's still hard. It's discolored from water, but nothing soft. So we've sprayed it down with mold killer and bleach and all that, and getting it good and dry. I'm gonna try to fix it this weekend. Um, but yeah,
That probably contributed to your cough.
honestly, that's where I first thought it was when I first kind of had the cough. I'm like, oh, it's just from breathing in the insulation.
The
And
mold,
I didn't think
baby.
about the mold. Could have been,
Yeah.
could have been a little bit of it
That
too.
that's
So
it's not.
yeah, so hopefully once that gets, maybe that means this will all go away quickly. I don't know, but that's been my month, guys. It's been one hell of a show. Um, I hope you all can commiserate in my torture, and maybe realize if you're having rough times, like, hey, there's somebody else out there that's got shit that's happening to them too. So hang in there. We're gonna make it through. It's September. It's a new month.
This is true. Um, well, the good news is your house is not in the path of the hurricane,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you got that going for you.
yeah. Unlike well, and I think the hurricane path now is moved, and I think our good friend Ish is not in the path of it either. So, um,
Yeah, that's true.
it was a little touch and go there for a while. I think she was getting really worried. So, I'm glad that it's kind of moved its path. But yeah, I'm glad I'm not in that either. That would not be good. And I'm glad it's. This is gonna sound bad. I'm glad it's in Florida and not going to Texas, because on Monday I fly to Houston. I really don't want to fly to Houston if there's gonna be a hurricane.
Oh, come on. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah, yeah. No, no,
No.
no. I'm nope, not doing it. So, yeah. But tell me some good things, Kip. There's got to be some good things going on.
Well, my weekend was totally grown up. It was awful. I, I played no video games. Well, I did watch college football on Saturday, so that was good.
Yeah, that's back going now.
And I said grown up, and then I also have to admit, pretty much all day Sunday we played D&D. So,
Oh, yeah. How'd
but
that go?
we hadn't played since May.
Oh, wow.
It was, you know, we had things happen like our DM's mom passing away and things like that.
Yeah,
So,
that always puts a damper on things.
yeah, so we finally got back together and it was good. I mean, our DM, you could tell, was still distracted,
Yeah.
which I completely understand. So I did my best not to bring anything up that, may remind him of what he just went through. So we still had a good time. I feel bad for the guy. I haven't gone through that yet, so I don't know exactly what he's going through. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Um, the grown up part was I bought my first ever torque wrench
Oh,
and used it.
nice. What did you need a torque wrench for?
Well, I decided to, for the first time ever, sharpen my lawnmower blade.
Oh.
Have you ever done this?
Uh, I have kind of, but not. I'm assuming you took it off the lawnmower and put it to a grinding wheel.
Yeah, I took it off. That's the whole reason I got the torque wrench. It's like I am going to make sure this thing is properly torqued so it doesn't fly off and cut off my foot.
Yeah, that's usually a good thing.
So I figured the $90 I'm spending on that thing is worth the money.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, I have an angle grinder, so I just took the blade off, put it in a vise, and used the angle grinder to try to sharpen the lawnmower blade.
Yeah,
Changed spark plugs, cleaned out the air filter,
the things you need to
all the
do every
stuff I
once in a
should
while.
have done like in the spring before you started mowing.
Yeah, that's. I was gonna say that's usually when you try to do that is at the beginning of the season, not the end. But hey, it's
Yeah,
okay.
it's
It's not all bad to do
sort
now.
story of my life has always been better late than never. So
Yeah,
it fit perfectly.
I know that
But
feeling.
yeah, the last time I mowed, this is like totally most boring podcast, but the last time I mowed, it was hard to push the mower through the grass.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck? And then I realized, I bet that blade is so dull that it's just having to tear the grass.
Yep.
And that's what's causing the problem. So we'll see on Saturday when I mow.
I was
See
gonna
if it,
say, have you tried it yet?
I have not. Sadly, I did that on Monday.
Yeah.
It was humid Monday.
Oh yeah.
All I did was take the blade off, sharpen the blade. Oh, I also scraped the bottom of the mower, getting all the dead grass off
Mm-hmm.
the bottom
Mm-hmm.
of the mower so I get good airlift,
Yep.
and put it back together and got into the house, and the air conditioner hit me, and it's like, holy cow, my shirt was completely soaked with sweat.
Yeah. That's
And it was
that was
bad
Monday.
when I'm wearing a head. I have to wear a headband when I work
Yeah.
because I just sweat.
Yep. Me too.
And with the headband looking down, sweat was dripping into my eyeglasses.
Yeah.
That was with the headband on. I would hate to see what it was like if I wouldn't have worn the stupid thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel you there. I have taken off. I've done a couple different things. My neighbor has a grinding wheel, so it's like one of those ones that's like mounted to a table,
Right.
and so I had taken it off, and he had sharpened it over there using that once, and then I had bought like it's almost like an angle grinder attachment specifically for lawnmower blades that you hook to your drill, and then
Oh
you
yeah, I've
don't,
got one of
yeah,
those.
you
Yeah.
don't have to take it off. Like you can just tip the lawnmower over and do it while it's still on there. That doesn't work quite as well. um, this Earlier this season, before, well, in the spring, I had to take my lawnmower in to actually be. I needed some of the gears and the self-propelled fixed, and so I I took it in and had them go ahead and change the oil and sharpen the blade and all that stuff while it was in there. Um,
Yeah.
so I didn't have to do that this year, but usually that's my like one weekend in spring. I take the whole weekend and try to do that because I suck at doing anything with mechanical maintenance of anything, and so it takes me a really long time to do. So usually I just don't end up doing it. But
Yeah. Um, I know it bugs the hell out of my dad because I can do all this stuff. I am completely capable of just about any auto mechanic repair, any kind of home improvement. I am completely capable of doing it. I just don't wanna, and so it gets put off and
yep,
put off and put off until I do spring maintenance on Labor Day weekend.
yeah.
So
Well,
yeah, but the
got
blade, I told my wife when I got done, it's like, yeah, this blade will get us through for the last 4 or 5 mowings we have left. And then next spring, I'm just going to have to buy a new blade. That
Yeah.
thing was dinged. I couldn't get all the dings out of it.
Oh
You know, even with
man.
an angle grinder, it's like, yeah, I'm going to just
Oh.
pretty much whittle this blade down to nothing. So
Yeah.
I got it semi-sharp and said, good enough. Let's get through this fall. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, on
I
that.
think I'm going to have to do like a series of YouTube videos, like the procrastination workshop or something,
Right. Yeah.
where you're doing routine maintenance in a panic situation because you put it off so long.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I've put off changing the oil in a lawnmower so long that the engine actually seizes up and won't actually, like, you go to try to pull it and it won't even pull. Um,
You locked it up.
yeah, that was my very first lawnmower that I ever had. That's what I did to that. And I realized after the fact that the reason why I never thought of changing the oil in it is I don't know that I've ever saw my dad change the oil in his lawnmower.
He might have had a 2-cycle engine or something where you
I
put the oil in the gas.
I don't know. I don't think so because I don't remember doing that. But we just had a gas can and it was like, hey, there's the lawnmower gas. Use that. I always filled it up and it might have been an old enough lawnmower that it was 2-cycle, but yeah, I never remember him changing the oil in it. And I mean, but that lawnmower, he finally got a new one after I went to college, and it was the same one that he used for all the time. So it was so beat up. It was a Craftsman, but it was
Mine's a
it
Craftsman.
yeah. This thing lasted so long that I mean, he probably had that thing for 20 years, 25 years before it finally like we made him buy a new one because the deck was all rusted out. Like is you didn't need a chute for the grass to come out when you're mowing because it just went out the holes that were in the deck. You know, it, it was ridiculous, but I mean it always worked. Like he never I don't ever remember that thing having problems, and maybe it was just my own. Maybe I didn't pay enough attention, and he just did stuff, and I didn't know it. But I mean, that's
Dads are
story of
tricky like
youth,
that.
right? Yeah. Dads are good about doing things and then you look back and go, how the hell did he do that? They just always made it work. So,
So, you know, that. So I felt pretty grown up. So we decided to go from feeling grown up to feeling elderly. And we bought the subscription to Acorn TV and watched British TV all weekend when we weren't doing the other stuff I mentioned. And I got to tell you, it's like $5 a month. If you love British TV, worth the cash because um, that's pretty much all we watch.
so I've seen this looking it up here and seeing like the little logo for it. Like I have seen this on my Roku, like advertising it, like, hey, you can get Acorn TV. I did not realize it was a subscription service that you can just get. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and we didn't for a long time because we figured it'd be like Netflix, $9-10 a month. But I think it's $4.99
Yeah.
or $5.99. I mean, something cheap. Pulled the trigger on that, and honestly, found some really good shows that I'm just enjoying the hell out of right now. And we're only a couple episodes away from finishing all they have on Acorn, which was 5 seasons. Is a show called Brokenwood Mysteries. It's a New Zealand TV show, and it's 4 episodes a season. Each episode is like an hour and a half, and absolutely love it. So it's this detective from the first episode. This detective from the big city comes in to help them with a case, and basically he was sent by the home office because the head detective that was currently there had like botched a previous murder, and it basically, I think they were trying to just prove him incompetent and just get him out of there. And so that was the first episode, and then after that, this guy becomes the lead detective. Thus, the show's core people are the lead detective, which his name is Shepard. The second in command, her name is Kristen Sims. And then there's a third, his Detective Breen, this ginger guy. And I don't know, just it's a murder mystery, so it's a heavy subject. But the way they cover it, it's fairly light. It's British, so it's not gritty and guns blazing type of thing you'd see here in America. I always marvel at the fact that detectives on these British TV shows, like I'm throwing New Zealand as part of that since it's on Acorn TV.
Sure.
Where the cops go around, they don't have a gun.
Yeah.
They're confronting criminals, no gun. It's in the trunk usually, but that doesn't do them any good.
Right.
They usually knock on the door, no gun. Another thing that I find fascinating, and since I don't live there, I don't know if this is actually how it works. American TV shows, if they have a person of interest, they bring them down to the station, and basically they're not leaving. They will sit them in there and basically use all sorts of psychological tactics to get out of this person what they think they can get. And in the British shows, they don't detain people like that.
Yeah.
They bring them in, they ask them some questions, and they're like, "Are we done here? Either charge me or I'm leaving." And they're like, "Well, we're not charging you." And they just get up and walk out. And it's like, yeah, that doesn't happen in America.
Yeah. No.
You're kind of screwed in America.
It's supposed to, but yeah.
Yeah. So
Huh.
it's just fascinating to see how they handle things. The mysteries are interesting. I highly recommend the Brokenwood mysteries. And then there was another one that we watched. It was only like 3 episodes total.
Yeah.
Called Manhunt, which was a true story about this murder that took place that really are a couple of murders that took place, and nobody would buy that they were connected except for this one cop. And, he had to go through and convincing everybody of all this stuff. Really well done. It was sad when the 3rd episode ends. Like, I loved this one. Why does it only have to be 3 episodes? But, British TV. They have a story to tell. They tell it. They move on.
Yeah. Right.
So, a bunch of other stuff we found on there that we've watched. There's one called Loch Ness. Has nothing to do with the Loch Ness monster. It just happens to take place in Scotland, in the town next to the loch. And really well done as well. I think they only have 1 season on there, and holy cow, it was good. So for the $5 we've spent, easily have gotten double the return, if not more, on the shows that we've taken a chance on. So
That's really
I look forward to seeing what other gold we mined out of that thing. But yeah, if you're into British style TV, you should pull the trigger on it.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I sound like an old person, don't I?
Yeah. No, because I really like British television. I like a lot of that stuff. That mystery one, the first one you were talking about,
Brokenwood.
How did that feel compared to like Broadchurch? Because the some of the premises and stuff that you kind of threw out there about detective basically getting held in proven incompetent, other people coming in and taking over, that kind of felt a little bit like maybe a little bit similar to Broadchurch, but maybe in a broader scope.
I know what you mean, but to me, Broadchurch was darker.
Well, and
In
that's
fact,
where I was wondering. I was kind of wondering if it was in similar in nature, if it was maybe not quite as dark.
it's Brokenwood is not nearly as dark as Broadchurch. Um, it's funny you brought that up because I love that show. We're watching another show on Acorn TV called Vera about a female lead detective, and there's a lot of shots and stuff in that one. It's like, man, that reminds me of that place in Broadchurch, where they
Yeah.
and all this other stuff. So, yeah, Broadchurch is on Netflix. I think
Yep.
it's also on Acorn. Can't
Probably.
recommend that show enough. Um, yeah, it's to the point I think we're going to cut a couple of different streaming services off because we're liking Acorn so much.
That's cool.
So, yeah,
Good.
yeah,
Very
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I need
Oh,
to go.
and then I got my new celebrity crush from that show. So
Oh, who's that? Who's that?
her name is Fern Sutherland. She's the one that plays Kristen Sims.
Fern Sutherland. I'm looking it up
Yeah, I
right
never
now.
thought you would say, "Oh yeah, kind of have a crush on this girl." What's her name? Fern.
Right? Yeah. Oh yeah. Man.
Yeah, she's not like drop dead gorgeous, but the way her character is and everything, yeah,
She
it
looks
works.
familiar. Why?
Did you watch the Almighty Johnsons?
I've seen parts of it. I see she
She
was
was
in
in the
that.
Almighty Johnsons.
Okay. Yeah, she hasn't done a ton, but yeah, she was in
No,
there. Huh.
I think it's all been New Zealand work for her. So,
Yeah. Okay.
so if you
Cool.
haven't watched anything that took place in New Zealand, you probably haven't seen her.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, digging it. We're almost
Cool.
done. They're they got funding to do a sixth season, but it hasn't started filming or anything yet. So we got a long time to
Gotcha.
wait after we finish these next two episodes to get our Broken Wood fix. But yeah, loving the show.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Well, we had since we were had so much crap going on and spent so much money, we decided to not leave the house all that much, and plus we were exhausted by the end of the weekend. So we decided to watch a movie, and I was going through the list of I was going through movies that were just out, that have come out that the kids would want to watch, and um, ran across a movie that I forgot even came out, and I kind of just shrugged it off when it came out. I was like, yeah, it's it'll be good. And then I heard it was kind of good, and I heard people enjoyed it, but I just kind of it's like, eh. But that was Men in Black International, MIB International. I like what I like the somebody had. I was reading somewhere and they had called it a soft reboot. I didn't feel like this was. I felt like this was just as much of a reboot as the new Ghostbusters movie was a reboot of the Ghostbusters. It, it really wasn't a reboot so much as it was just another movie that this one was a little more so. You could actually make the argument that this one was still took place in the same universe as all the other Men in Black movies. There was even one scene where they're in like the one. This all takes place in London. So we're back on this British theme here. It all takes place in
Yeah.
London, and they're walking into like the head guy's office, and they have pictures of big things that have happened. And one of the pictures is Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. And it looks like an oil painting type thing of like one of the final scenes. And so it was really, you're like, that's about the only nod to Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones that was in the entire movie, at least that I caught. Um, but there's lots of you know jokes and pokes and prods to popular culture stuff that's going on right now that I thought was entertaining and funny. Um, but this, I also thought it was really awesome. I didn't even realize this at the time. I knew Chris Hemsworth was in it, Thor. I knew Thor was in it, and that's how I pitched it to my kids. It's like, hey, we get to watch a movie about aliens, and it's got Thor in it, and they're like,
Also
what?
had Valkyrie.
Yeah. And I didn't realize until we were watching it. We're like, why does she look so familiar? And then I looked it up. I'm like, what's Tessa Thompson? Like, why does that name sound familiar? Like, so I had to look it up. I'm like, oh, damn, that's Valkyrie. Oh, I should have. Like, why did I not pick that up? And then, of course, it's also got Liam Neeson in it. Um, Lots of people, but this movie was a lot of fun. It's good fun. I recommend it. And honestly, we got done and we were talking about the movie with, the two kids and my wife, and we're all sitting around like going, well, who's your favorite character? And we all agreed that our favorite character is a character named Pawnee. Uh,
Yes.
and
Yes.
he is a little alien that's like a pawn for a chess set, and his queen has been killed, and he's the only remaining one, and he's voiced by Kumal Nanjiani. You'll know him from things like Silicon Valley and Big Sick and that kind of stuff. He's a comedian and writer, and he's hilarious, and he did a great job in this character. He was by far all four of our favorite character. Like he was just awesome.
I agree. He was totally awesome.
He was the best supporting character in it, and I liked him more than. I mean, Chris Hemsworth was great, Tessa Thompson was great, Liam Neeson was great, but Pawnee, man, Pawnee was he like just the way they used that character, and it was just couldn't have been better. I enjoyed it. Lots of fun. I recommend it if you're looking for a movie to just go have some fun, family friendly movie. I recommend Men in Black International. Go check it out.
I agree. And, it was a good story. Yeah, it threw the cutie Pawnee in there, but he wasn't annoying at all. Like you would see in movies where it looks like just
Yeah.
a toy grab.
No,
Uh,
this he was funny. Like he helped move things along. Like he was integral to the story. Like without him,
yeah,
I don't think the show would have been as good. I don't think the movie would have been as good. So yeah,
I agree. Yeah,
Pawnee.
I glad you finally got to see it. We saw it in the theater. We really liked it.
Yeah, we I really enjoyed it. We also there's something else that I had got too, that it was a choice between Men in Black International and something else, and I don't remember what the other one was. But yeah, we've got a few movies to check out. Um, that's the same night that we watched that after. Um, Actually, no, I guess it was last night. I decided I didn't want to do anything that involved me leaving my bed. So after the kids went to bed, I laid down. And I'm like, I wasn't tired. I just didn't want to, or I wasn't tired enough to sleep, but I didn't want to do anything. So I flipped on a DC animated movie that nobody else in my house is really going to watch, and it's rated as PG-13. You could probably get away at like, yeah, I think it's only PG-13 because of some of the violence that they put in it, but and the blood that's in it. But the movie is Batman Hush. Now, I have I have heard of the comic book. This Hush is one comic book series or comic book story. It's written by Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee, and um, I, it's one that I've heard really good things about, and that I need to go read it, but I just never got around to it. Um, and So I saw this. animated movie. DC does great animated movies, so if you want to watch good DC movies, go watch the animated stuff. They actually do it right. But watch this movie, really good. I don't know how much I don't think that it follows the comic book closely, but I think there's a big twist on who the bad guy is in the movie that is different from the comic book. It makes me want to go back and read the comic book, so it's on my list of comic books to trade paperbacks to go get um, so that I can kind of see where it's at. But it's a really really good movie. It takes place obviously in Gotham City, but it also they travel to Metropolis. The tagline is that it's there's a villain that is going after Batman, knows who Batman is, and is bringing all of the his rogue gallery into play. And so you get appearances from Catwoman, Poison Ivy, um, the Riddler, Joker, Harley Quinn, all kinds of people. So it's Bane is in it. Superman even makes an appearance, voiced by the awesome Jerry O'Connell. So that's always good. But yeah, it was really well done. I really liked it. They kind of played on they made Batman feel more human than a lot of than any of the live action movies have ever done. This is the most human Batman really has ever been, and I thought that was great. I enjoy that part of it. He's just a guy. He doesn't have superpowers. He's just a guy, and I like when stories can emphasize that more. And they did a really good job with this one. So if you're looking for a movie to not watch with your kids, or at least not with young kids, go watch Batman Hush.
You know, it's funny that the DC animated stuff is so great. You know, you wish it would rub off on the live
Yeah,
action stuff,
I mean,
even a
honestly,
little bit.
yeah. Oh, yes, I've been saying that for years. Like whoever they have writing these animated stuff, just get them to write the stuff for the live action. Like, I mean, and maybe it's a little bit of it that you can get away with some cheesier dialogue. You can get away with certain things with animation that you can't get away with live action. But I mean, there's honestly, I recommend you watch this movie. It's on. I downloaded off of a digital service, but you can. I mean, sure, it's out there. I haven't looked up. I'm sure it's on Netflix or Amazon Prime. But go see if you can find it. Check this out because this is a perfect movie. It's an hour and a half long, hour and 20 minutes long. This could be a great movie to put on the big screen live action. Like if this was written and acted like a regular Batman movie, this easily could have done. It could have been done. I mean, it's not. There's not. There's nothing
No,
in it
they want to
that's
be dark. The live stuff has to be dark and
well. But that's also kind of the thing here. Like this gets Batman down pretty good. I mean, this this tests Batman's morality. This storyline pushes Batman's morality to his breaking point, and um, like so much so that it costs him. It costs him a life, really, and it was. I mean, it's really good. This could be done even darker if you wanted to make it more, but it it's a good story. So, and that's what I really feel like we're missing. Uh,
yeah. I guess it's not really the darkness; it's just good storytelling, and
Yeah,
the live action just can't get her done.
right. But yeah, so there's my couple of recommendations. You got Acorn TV from Kip over there. I got Batman International and Batman Hush from me. So yeah, lots of TV movies. Go check them out. Enjoy some stuff. Enjoy good things when bad things keep going on around us.
That's right. Stay inside and watch those things. That way, your car doesn't blow up, and
Yeah,
whatever else goes wrong if you leave the house.
right, right.
You may end
Just
up buying a torque wrench and sharpening lawnmower blades or something. So stay in the house, watch some British TV.
there you
You'll be
go.
better for it.
Right, right. Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, that's what we got for you tonight. I don't have a whole lot else because it's been one hell of a month. There will be no Geekvice next week. Both Kip and I are traveling for work, so there
There
won't
won't
be.
be one on YouTube, but there will be one on iTunes.
Oh,
Because I've been saving up episodes, so we're one ahead.
nice.
So
There, there.
we don't have to record, and we'll still have one out.
Sweet. There we go. Awesome. Very awesome. So yeah, there will be a new one on the podcast, but it'll it just won't be up. We won't have a live one. So but we'll be back the week after that with some live stuff again. And yeah.
And I promise you, we were live when we recorded it.
Oh, right. Yeah. Because all of our stuff is live when we record it. That's a good point. Yeah. Hey.
What the hell's that
Hey.
guy talking about?
Jeez, man. It's throwing me for a loop. You know what? Before we sign off, I know we missed out on this because life got in the way. But we talk about our podcast, Arcadian supporters, and our the other podcasters in the podcast
Yes.
arcade, and we wouldn't be doing it justice if we didn't at least make some comment on this. And the pod fading curse has struck a dear friend of some dear friends of ours. Um, Ben and Billy and Anthony at Underground Inc. are calling it quits. Underground Inc. is going to take a um, undefined hiatus. You know, it might be back. I never want to say that it's gone for good and won't ever come back because
Once you have the podcasting bug, it's hard to shake.
right, yeah, but you know, those in the industry that do podcasting have probably heard others talk about pod fading. It's a real curse. It's a sign of when your life gets so busy that it becomes harder and harder to podcast, and when you rely on co-hosts and things like that to be able to do it becomes hard. Which I mean, we've had that same problem here where we've missed a couple of weeks because we couldn't get schedules straight, and the fact that we've made it 267 episodes, I think is a really good thing. And Underground Inc. will be missed. I think we're still gonna try to get Anthony and Ben and Billy on different shows within the arcade network, the podcast
Yeah, we have to
arcade
we got to
network.
keep them on the air because they're cooler than the rest of us. So.
That's right. That is right. And you will still hear Billy on Daydream Instruction Manual. I don't think he's going anywhere from that. Him and Eddie just do so well with that. So I don't think he's going anywhere. But yeah, those guys have had a great run. They have a great show. All their podcasts are still going to be there. So if you haven't listened to them, go check them out because their stuff is so good. It's hilarious. They do really good movie reviews and almost kind of some of the episodes, especially some of the earlier episodes, have been very mystery science theater 3000 type stuff where they're making comments while watching the movie, and so you can actually run it. You can actually hit play on your movie the same time as They actually tell you when, and you can sync it all up, and it's quite entertaining. Uh, I've listened to a bunch of the episodes, and those guys are hilarious. Lots of knowledge, and they will be missed. But
Yeah, they're awesome. So we will try to keep them going by forcing them to be on this show
yeah,
against their better judgment. But we'll get them.
yeah, we will. Yeah, we will. So yeah, that's go support those guys. Their last one of their last episodes they recorded, I think 2 or 3 of them. And the last time they got together, and so one of them I think just went up today or yesterday. So they're on the final stretch, but um, it doesn't mean you can't go throw a little love their way,
And tell them how much you'll miss them.
yeah, yeah, because it's always a thing, man. It's always a thing. So, all right, well, that is all we got for today. You got anything else you want to throw out there?
I just ready for bed.
Yeah, me too. Me too. All right, guys. Well, you know the drill here. Go follow us on geekvice.blogspot.com. Go follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/geekvice. Go follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at Geekvice. You can follow that man over there at Kip Killigan over there. And you can also subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go search for Kip Morph on YouTube, or go to the Facebook page and click on the YouTube button over there on the left-hand side. That'll take you to all the stuff you need. You can subscribe right from the Facebook page, which is always really nice. Go check out our video content that's on there, this live recording. You can also come bug us and join us during live recordings. There's a live chat that everyone is welcome to come join in whenever they want. We don't discriminate. You're all there, happy to join us. And of course, if you want to reach us by email, you can reach us at yeah, hard words geekvice@gmail.com. Oh,
Yes, folks, English is his first language.
yeah, you wouldn't know it listening to me. Thanks everyone for listening to our ramblings, and we will see you next week.
Later.
This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.